Shay, 35 points tonight, career high here at IU. I know you dropped 40 against Central Connecticut State at Penn State. I was looking that up to make sure that it was a career high. But just talk about what you had to do in the second half to just help carry the load and lead IU to this win.
Yeah, I wouldn't, word that as carry the load. I think that my teammates did a great job finding me. We were still working it down low to Z. There's a mismatch every time down there. So, with Z being open, we have shooters on the outside. So they had to guard everybody tonight, and I was able to knock down some shots, which was pretty good.
Did Coach Morin talk about defense at halftime by any chance?
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
What kind of thing did she say for both of you? And to emphasize, and obviously it looked really apparent.
Yeah, it was honestly pretty simple. She came in, and our biggest thing was just fight harder. We didn't do a great job first half of being in our gaps, boxing out, rebounding. So, we just came in with the mindset, we just got to fight harder. We got to work harder. We got to want it more.
Oh, yeah, I would say the same thing. No, I would say, the same thing. We just got to come out with a fight. Everybody's going to come in here and try to beat us. So when first quarter comes, we got to, excuse my language, punch them in the mouth and let them know, who the Indiana Hoosiers are.
And you didn't, really.
Yeah, exactly. No, we didn't. But we will in the future.
Here in the back, punching in the mouth. I mean, that's really what you guys did in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a lot more intense, a lot more pressure. Was there a mentality switch? Was it something in the locker room during the halftime period? What was kind of the switch there going into the second half?
Yeah, there was definitely a mentality switch. We knew that our first half was not up to our standard. We knew that we needed to do better, both offensively and defensively. We knew that, we had to come out there and get stops so we can run in transition. That was a big point of emphasis in the locker room. We're better in transition. We're a transition team. We've been saying that since, summer. So just putting a bigger emphasis on that.
Hi, you guys both had great games tonight. Earlier this week after the game, Coach Morin had a lot of praise for both of you guys as leaders. Coming into the second half after a not so great first half from your guys' standards, as you said, what really stood out to you and what you guys had to do as some of the key leaders on this team?
Go, bro.
I think going in the locker room, Z and I were pretty vocal, along with Lene Beaumont, of just doing better, just being better. And I think that we just got a little bit more vocal defensively. We started talking to each other more, which obviously helped us. But, like I was saying, in the locker room, we just need to fight more.
Sorry, I'm not good at this media stuff, but we just got to step up as leaders and let our team know that, we got to chip away. Basketball is a game of runs.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to keep going, keep chipping, keep getting stops, and ultimately, it's going to come and we're going to score on offense. So,
for either of you guys, this was the first real test you've had. Obviously, you're going to face several more, but for a group of a lot of new people to have a 7-point deficit where they had all the momentum, it felt like, and you guys had to dig deep for the first time as a group where you're on the court for the first time in a setting like that. How important was that for you guys to dig in together? How important was it to just fight as one, kind of back against the wall?
Yeah, obviously we didn't play great, but I'm glad this happened. I'm glad we had to face adversity second game. It's better now than when we're down in Big Ten conference play. I think it was a great test to see how we can stick together, how we go on different runs, and we're just constantly talking to each other. We're uplifting each other. We could have easily been down 7 and thrown the towel and be like, you know what, we'll get it next time. We'll get it Tuesday. Let's wrap it up. But I think it was a great testimony to our fight and what you're going to see down the stretch.
Z, you had a double-double tonight, 19 points, 13 rebounds. Talk about what the matchups were like for you inside, how you were able to just get the buckets and get the rebounds, because I know they did a job trying to contain you, but they couldn't.
Yeah, I think when we started off the game, I really liked the Sigma move, coming off the block and shot faking and ripping and going, but they were kind of just sitting back, and Coach Morin just told me to get on the block and bury them, and that's what I did towards the end of the game. I started scoring a lot. They pulled the chair on me a few times, but I'm going to learn from it, and hopefully the next games I'll be even better.
You got really hot there for a stretch with the threes. How were you feeling? Any different shooting? I remember the other day you just kind of made an offhand comment about how you weren't shooting well in the beginning of the game. And this game wasn't that much different until you got hot. So you can't just will it to happen every time. So what's the transition like when you know you're on?
Secret is there is a will. If there's a will, there's a way. Just as a shooter, it helps to have people pour into you, and that's exactly what my teammates did. It's exactly what my coaches did. I think I started 0-2, maybe 0-3, but they kept saying shoot the ball, and as a shooter, you just gotta stay confident in all ends, and it helps to have Z inside. They have to play her, they have to double her, so it's pretty easy as a shooter being on the outside.
Been a lot of talk about offense so far this press conference, but you guys mentioned at the beginning that Coach Morin had a big focal point about defense, and you guys held UIC to just 22 points in that second half after a lot more than that in the first. What worked so well for you guys? Was it the pressure that you guys were able to force on them?
I think it was a little bit of everything. I think it came down to more so our gaps. Coach Morin preaches our gaps and making sure that, we're clogging the paint. We're crowding, the players who were getting hot there for second, 14 and 12, making sure that we're just crowding the paint as much as we could. Just know their tendencies. And I think we just put a bigger emphasis on those two things, which has helped.